Take the letter E and you equate that to the word feelings. You kind of mess up the motion of things, so remove the E and keep moving. That's what you do.
Spitting that D to the IMP. He's spitting that D to the IMP. He's spitting that D to the IMP. Ain't nothing but pimpin' these days. He's spitting that D to the IMP. He's spitting that D to the
Got my face on a bunch of wanted papers. Rolled in town like a desperado. Searching for the gold like El Dorado. Burning money on Jameson bottles. Gonna get rich come hella hot water. Ride for my gang all the way to hangman. Spirits in the sky know that I'm never changing. I'm like a Charles Russell painting how I die in the West.
Welcome back to another episode of Elevator Dialogue, folks. First, I want to apologize for running late. I had some technical difficulties over here. I could not get my sound to start working. But here we are. We're back on the panel today. And before we get started, I want to take a couple of minutes to thank everybody who's already joined in. Thank everybody who's on the panel today. Appreciate everybody's patience. On the panel today, we have none other than Antoine, the other artist, Christopher. He got his hair flowing today. It's all wavy. We'll see how long it takes for him to get that thing stuck up in a ponytail. We got Dr. Rashad Thomas Easley the fifth on the left side of the tabernacle to the third power here. And we also have Vinziant. I'm pissed off right now because my team is not in the top 4, but that's okay because we still got to play Georgia. Vinziant. Accountable masculinity, all the things. How y'all doing today, gentlemen? We ain't even get a chance to speak or say hello or anything because I ain't had no sound until about 3 or 4 minutes ago. So, how y'all doing today, gentlemen?
What's going on, man? I'm good, man.
Doing well, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, likewise.
Antoine, you good over there?
I was looking forward to this Wednesday. I was looking forward to my Wednesdays.
Yeah, why is that?
I like the show, man. It's got number one show on its way right here.
Hey, I feel you. I accept all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But let's get into it, man. We're gonna talk about dealing with family drama. If you feel like it at some point, I would suggest that maybe go back through and look at some of the other videos we did probably last year, maybe earlier this year, talked about family versus relatives. So maybe a good idea to do a new and updated one on that too, or something similar, especially with Valentine's Day. I mean, not Valentine's, but Thanksgiving right around the corner.
Yeah.
And we may start it tonight a little bit, you know. So I'll start by saying this, and then we'll jump right into it. Family drama comes in all shapes and sizes and happens with siblings, parents, and extended family members such as cousins and aunts. I have seen cousins fight, siblings fight, and even cases where people disown family members. There are situations where family members have been murdered over family drama. As men in our families, what is our role? Do we intervene when our young relatives are leading lives that we know are heading in the wrong direction? Or do we just sit on the sidelines? What about when family drama comes to us? Are we as men and pillars of our families supposed to have those difficult conversations when we see the wrong thing happening in our family? So I know I talked about a couple of different things in there. I'm not exactly sure where we want to start. I kind of thought that may bring up a couple different talking points, you know, in general. But, you know, like I just mentioned, you know, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, you know, and family drama comes in all different shapes and sizes. So what do y'all, first of all, do we even have a role in it, or what role do you think we as men play, you know, when in family drama? What you got there?
I'm gonna say the role that men play is mind the business that they can afford to mind. You know, it's very intricate. It's never straightforward. It's never black and white. It stems from a mix of personal relationships, business principles, personal, pet peeves, and there's a lot of different things that's going into that mix when it comes down to it. If you're dealing with family drama itself implies a complex situation, So family itself is complex. Throwing the word drama on it does not make it less complex. So I just sit back and mind the business that pays me until I'm invited to the conversation. And some people say don't send for me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't sent for you. Yeah. Like I wait for it to come my way, and if it ain't got nothing to do with me, it don't mention my name. It ain't got me tagged. It ain't got nothing to do with me, fam.
What I like about what you just said is I still hear like there's still something to kind of represent, as a man, if you will. It's like it's almost like still be the bigger person if you can be, to me. Like, what I'm hearing, but I'm hearing a lot of things that's really about how to avoid the drama based on what you just said. It's like you could stay out of it. But the other thing that I really heard is when you said, if you can afford to, right? And to me, that if you can afford to, then, let me get my words. I'm sorry, y'all. That if you can afford to, then to me reflects on what the man is doing at that point. So now it's like, if you don't have your business together, right? How can you speak about family drama? You know what I mean? In a way of like correcting it, or in a way, and I'm just speaking out. I'm just speaking, I'm just vibing with, what Vic just said, so it's not, anything, but because I think that if you, the man, then gets involved in drama and you are a drama causer yourself, then it's not going to be good for you. So that's what I was hearing, it's like, hey, make sure you have your, what in order. So if you stay out of it, you can stay out of it. If you get in it, maybe you can get in and get out of it. You don't have to get in and get all complicated and all that craziness.
Let me add some clarification to that too. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I had such a quick answer is because accountable masculinity rule number 2, we do not argue. That's just it. We don't argue. So like if in a short, simple rule number 2, after focus on yourself, if you focus on yourself, you're not arguing with nobody.
Good point.
So like, it ain't my business. You know what I'm saying? It's for everybody else to figure out. And until it has some equity in it that has something to do with me specifically, it's not my business.
I did want to hear what Antoine has to say.
What
but
you saying, Antoine? Go ahead.
I'm going to go a different route, depending on, I guess, where the family drama happens. If it happens in my house, then I'm getting involved, right? I don't care what state I am or what state I am in my own life. I know I don't welcome family drama. Now, I wouldn't say if I see physical violence happening, verbal violence happening, and condescending, demeaning, and all that sort of stuff, I'm stepping in. I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'm not going to allow anybody to be in that position, especially if it's a woman. If I'm at somebody else's house, I will still voice my opinion and then leave, because I'm not going to witness something like that happening and everybody pulling out their cameras to post it. You know what I mean? Because that's what they do today. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to say my piece. I'm going to say it's not right. I'm going to talk to the head of the household. I'm going to say you should intervene. If it's none of your business, then kick them all out then, because you're making it your business because it's in your home. So therefore it is your business, right? So if my father always said, if you bring it into my house, it is my business. So don't think you're going to whisper and not let me hear it. The next time, don't bring it in my house, which is correct. Because if it's in your house, you should handle your business. Disrespect, loud rudeness, all that sort of stuff. And if you don't want, and it's okay to not like somebody, it's okay. And it's okay for them not to like you, but you are going to lay down the law and the rule in your own home. And if you go to somebody else's house, you're going to speak up for what you don't like, what you see, what's wrong, stand up for what's right, and bounce your own way out. Because I'm sure after that, it's going to be an uncomfortable moment having you there with the parties that were acting up like fools, right? You know right from wrong. You know right from wrong. I don't believe in that stand by, let it happen. Well, it wasn't my business. I'm just going to I didn't want to say that because, no. You know right from wrong. because that could escalate to something very bad, and then you're on this line of a coulda, woulda, shoulda crap, right? So don't put and you don't have a right to say or anything to say if you didn't step in to stop it. Shut the F up. You didn't want to, you saw it happening. So don't say you didn't see it happening. Don't say, well, it was none of my business. I didn't want to step in, but yet you're going to your Tom, Dick, and Harry friends and voicing your opinion of what you could have done, what you would have done. You know, all of a sudden it's a different thing. So I'm going to take it like that.
Hey, Antoine, or anybody, what about when drama comes to you, right? There's a situation where, you know, men may be married or they may be, you know, with somebody dating seriously, and the drama starts coming to them. And it could be like their wife or their girlfriend situation. You know what I mean? Where one of her relationships with her family member is starting to bring in drama into your family. You know what I mean? So like,
how disruptive is it? Is it just a sit down in a
it doesn't matter if it's disruptive.
Drama.
It's disruptive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, give me an example of what kind of drama that could be. All
right. So let me think. Your girl got a family member who is strung out on drugs, right? And every once in a while they calling up and like, hey, you know, can we get some money? Or, you know, whenever you go around, there's always some drama, it's always some arguing or something like that, because you know that person may be, you know, they're a user, they're on drugs. You know what I mean? They still working, they may be functional, but they're on drugs. And you know what comes along with that is, hey, you know, can I borrow some money? Different things like that.
Okay.
And it's starting, your wife is kind of feeling like in the middle, like, because you like, look, maybe get rid of that bird.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely, as the lead, I'm definitely going to step in and put my foot down, or up, either foot down or up someone's ass, but it's going to stop.
What do you mean by that?
I'm not going to let anybody put my wife in a position, or my significant other in a position she shouldn't be, right? And if she can't tell them no, I have no problem telling them. You know, you're talking to a guy that I really don't care if the in-laws like me. Really don't care. Couldn't care less. I'm not into this whole, they need to love me. You don't love me, no problem. You will never see your grandkids. Your wife can go over there as many times as she wants. She ain't taking the baby, because if my blood runs through that baby, so if you don't like me, you ain't gonna like my child.
Antoine likes smoke and drama. See,
I ain't trusting you with that. So I wouldn't care. I would definitely step in, and if that person is on drugs, I say, listen, I will go out of our way to help him, find him shelter, whatever it needs. But then when it comes to the point where it's a repetitive situation, then it's a block. Then it's calling the police if he shows up at the house. Then it's, you know, excommunicado. That's how it is. I'm not gonna let this go on and on and on and on and on. I mean, you know, why? You need that person that bad in your life? You know? You're muted, Garfield.
Hey, go ahead, Dr. Easley.
I mean, I think I still think the answer makes me think about, you know, the first response, you know, which is if I can afford to, meaning if it's come like, you know, one like I agree also with Antoine, if it's coming in my house, right, then I can't afford to not deal with it. You see what I'm saying? You know, if it's coming in my house. Now, if someone is, how can I say, allowing themselves to be a vector for drama, then we got to deal with that. You see, because I agree, like I don't really argue either. You know, I'm not one. We don't gotta, you know, I mean, most misunderstandings are just, you know, usually not just miscommunication. You know what I mean? So it's like, we don't really got to argue. We just need to talk this out. But I think that when people get into drama, and especially those who thrive on it, that's when I think you got to be more mindful about who and how you're engaging with them, you know, because there's some people who just want drama, you know, like that. It's just like people who don't know how to stay out of debt. And as soon as they get out of debt, they run back into it. You know what I'm saying? Let me spend this. So it's the same with drama. And when it comes to emotions, when you get out of that emotion debt, if you will, there's some people who don't know how to not be in that, you know. And I think that when it's family, there's some folks who like I agree with Antoine too. Like, if you don't like me, then you don't need to see me. But I also understand that when you deal with family, sometimes in the dynamics or the politics of that can get a little, complicated, or it can if you let it,
Yeah.
So, but I think that when it comes to like the way that you just described that, Garfield, I mean, if someone is hurting themselves, okay, because that's part of what I'm hearing. Someone's hooked on drugs, then they're hurting themselves. Now, I will say that that's a sickness. I've dealt with that in my life, but it's still based on choice. So, that's the reason why I say if you're going to be a vector for drama in the house, we got to deal with that. Maybe that person is not the drama. It could be her. You understand what I'm saying? And so then that's when I'm like, hold up, and I think that's when it's a conversation about values. It's a conversation about priorities. It's a conversation about how we want this family or this space to be. But I mean, I think peace is priceless, and you don't let anybody. To me, if someone damages your peace, minus it being your child, if you will, in particular, because a child, especially the one that's not an adult, he, she, or they is not really in control of a lot of things except for themselves. To me, that's different. You see, because you're raising a being. That's the kind of drama you kind of take on. Like, that goes back to what Vic said. If I can afford, I don't think that's one that I can afford. And when Antoine, that's in my house, I got to deal with that. But once adults start letting things in, I don't know if I want to deal with the drama or the mother that's allowing the drama to come in. And then that's when I'm like, no, we need to have, you see, because it may not be that family member that's a drama person. It may be you who enables that drama. Man, and that's when, like I said, going back to what Antoine said, that's in my house. That can't be in my house. And going back to what Vic said, that is something that I can't afford to. So anyway, hopefully that's making sense. I'm just kind of.
That made a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah, like you look at what's the second and third order effects of you either doing something about it or not doing something about it. There's pros and cons on both sides of it, like when you got a lot of emotional tension, what I'm saying, a lot of emotional tension invested into a situation, you can't predict the outcome of that market. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody came there with a goal of getting a certain outcome understood, or came there getting a certain understanding that other people are going to understand. And that may not even be on your spectrum of understanding. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I believe in the law of detachment, you know what I'm saying? Removing yourself, letting things take place. And if it doesn't have anything to do with you, it'll cycle out. I do believe that poor timing escalates situations sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, you may have a valid reason to jump in and try to quell something right away. May have a vital, valid reason and a way to do it, but depending on the personality, the message can't be heard.
Yeah,
some people escalate things, and some folks, like all of us, have been that guy where we can say the least amount of words, and somehow we're at the top of the discussion for the most offensive, the least, least collaborative, least cooperative, or whatever. And then people create the drama before you even get there without you even being there. So why invest in running into a situation that don't have your name tagged to it, that doesn't have a situation where your name is part of the conversation? Like, I guess I look at how fickle things are when it comes down to people's emotions, and you may come there with a problem solving dialogue, but somebody came there looking for problems.
Yeah.
So in that situation, if it doesn't have my name directly tied to it, if it's not something I got to deal with my home address where I sleep, then it's just not my business until somebody makes it my business. And even then, they got to convince me that it's my business.
Okay, so we're all in our 40s now. And I remember a couple of years ago having a conversation with my cousin. My cousin, female, she's a few years older than me. And we were sitting around, we may have been on the phone, and we were talking about my father. My father was, he had his demons, but at the same time, like while I was growing up and stuff like this, my father was a minister in a church. And he was kind of one of the kind of one of the pillars in our family. At least that's what I saw him as. I remember one day, you know, like I said, my dad was in church. He was a minister. I remember him walking up to my cousin one day. I remember one day, you know, like I said, my dad was in church. He was a minister. I remember him walking up to my cousin one day. I remember one day, you know, like I said, my dad was in. Somebody got to turn something down.
Control anybody.
Thank you. That messed me all up. But I remember what happened. My dad came up to my cousin while she was in church and told her to go downstairs and take that lipstick off her face. And she pouted, but she went down there and did that, you know. And as, like I said, a few years ago, we were sitting around talking. Excuse me. We were talking and she was talking about how much she missed, you know what I mean, that side of my father, you know, that one that, you know, always could be leaned on, the one who, you know, not forced people, but, you know, wanted the best out of people and was like, hey, you know, this is the right way to do things in life, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and that's kind of where I want to go back to like the initial, my initial talking point was that, you know, as men in our families, do we have that right? You know, should we be saying something to the young people in our family who may not be doing what they're supposed to be doing? You know, because like I said, I know y'all got uncles and stuff. You know, I know Vic got uncles. He flew them down not too long ago. Your uncles, I'm guarantee, were telling you to do this or do that or trying to impart certain things in you. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, I don't have no uncles or no grandfathers or no dad or nothing like that. So, like, what about things like that? What about our role in the family?
I will say you have to be a leader. You have to be the leader that the family respects, leading by example. Yeah, you do have an implied responsibility in the worst case scenario to be the source of conflict resolution. Because at some point, if it's a family situation, you got your last name from the family. So you got to defend your last name or just make sure you put yourself in a position where like family business stays family business at a minimum, you know, as much as possible. And sometimes solving problems is a lot like creating something along the way. You building an airplane in flight, and sometimes it's on fire, and sometimes it's not. There's a lot of different components that go into the dynamics of a family. When you start considering history and economics, there's like no blanket way to look at it. I think that the person that can make the decision that benefits the family most for the short term, just to solve the problem and put out the small fire, I think that that person appears when that person's time arrives for them to appear and to step into it. Because there's like somebody's got to make a choice to allow themselves to be part of the complaints, part of the problems, part of the solutions, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. If they sit back and they say, yo, I'm tired of, you know, seeing my family argue, they're going to make a decision to either A, never show up at another family function, or show up at the next family function and be prepared to intervene and maintain the vibe. So all of it is choice driven. I think it's situation dependent. And I do think ultimately a man that values the legacy associated with his name always has like some sort of implied obligation to stop a situation before it becomes too bad.
What you got, Antoine? You think older men should be jumping into certain situations with the young folks, trying to correct them or discipline or whatever?
Like I said, it all depends on where you're at. Obviously, you know, I wouldn't say out in the street because, you know, people carry guns today and everybody's short-tempered, and you might have that guy that's short-tempered. But if I'm going to a family function, I know there's my cousins there's my mom there, my brothers, whatever. I'm going to step in if I see ratchetness going on. I'm not going to allow my family or any to be disrespected. If I know there's cussing going on, my mom is not a cusser. If I know that there's disrespect going on, I'm going to voice my opinion because I know right from wrong. and I'm going to put whoever should be in check. I'm going to say my part, and then I'm going to leave. I'm not going to stand back, and then after it all comes down or somebody gets shot or stabbed, and then do the whole coulda, woulda, shoulda crap. I'm going to step in. I'm going to voice my opinion. I'm going to say this is wrong. I'm going to talk to the man who's hosting the party, the head of the household. I'm going to have that conversation with him. I'm going to say, get your people in check. This shouldn't be happening, right? If somebody doesn't want reefer or marijuana there, and somebody's smoking marijuana, and I know somebody's smoking marijuana, and I know the man's son, it's the man's son, I'm walking up to him and say, listen, you know that this stuff isn't allowed. Can you at least have that discussion with your son? I'm doing that 3 times. And then after that, I'm going over to talk to him, right? I'm going over to talk to him, and I'm going to say, listen, your father ain't doing it, so allow me to do it. A, B, and C. And I think that should be allowed. And it's not like I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm going to let them know, listen, if you can't do it, I'm going to be the one to do it. And I'm fine with doing it. I'm just letting you know so you and I don't have beef. Because I don't like wrong. I don't like when things are wrong. Too many people don't step into things. And then only after shit happens, then you're looking to be the hero. And then you're looking to say, well, it was none of my business. That doesn't exclude you from anything. You're in the house. That doesn't exclude you from anything to say, oh, it's not my business. So what the hell are you doing there if it's not your business? You should have come to the party then. You're part of the group. You're part of the whole mess. It's like if you have a house party and then there's a shooting in the house party, they're going to the person that's in charge of the house, and it's trickling down from there. But they're going to question all the guests of what happened. And what are you going to tell them? Well, it was none of my business. I saw him pull out the gun, but, I needed a shot to ring out first before I stepped in. Oh, okay, you're one of those. No problem. Next time, just put your tail between your legs and tuck in a corner somewhere. But I don't understand what's wrong with stepping in if somebody's doing wrong. I don't like disrespect. And if it's in my house, I can easily kick you out. I have no problem with that. And I'll kick out you and the whole crowd so you can follow through and do your thing. But I don't believe in not stepping. I'm talking family house, right? I'm talking within family.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if it's under your roof, you have to deal with it.
And even if it's under my family, my cousin's roof, it's under my uncle's roof, my brother's roof.
Well, and that's the thing. That's when the dynamic kind of gets it's not as transparent, you know what I'm saying? Because I think when you're looking at it from a healthy view, completely healthy view. And I think we got to capture
and everybody's going to participate.
And everybody's going to participate in being, receptive to whatever correction. Different respect barriers. A lot of things have to go perfect for a family dynamic to allow for someone to just come in and intervene just because they're family. So which is why like when I'm looking at Chris's comments, he's like, there's a very big and distinct difference between older men and being the respected elders of the family. I think you have to be credible, you know what I'm saying, in a lot of cases, depending on what the circumstance is. And that's when you start getting into the weeds of it. We're not necessarily just talking about in our own households. We're talking about just in general, when is it time to step in? Because it's dangerous when you start playing with other people's emotions, because we can't dismiss the fact that somebody else might be running off a completely different fuel and different set of information than anybody else that's there. And as soon as you step in, and you might step in at an untimed time, and you might, there's a sense of entitlement with thinking that you can step into something all the time too, and thinking that you can control the situation just because you try to step up. Not saying it's not noble. I'm just saying that there's a level of risk that goes with it, that doesn't get discussed, because we think as soon as we want to step in that we're going to solve the problem. But that's not always cut and dry. Sometimes we create more problems by jumping in. So I say you have to consider the environment, look at the people that's involved, and the context of the situation. If you go in before having any knowledge of any of that, you're going to have a very, very surprising moment in expectation history. It's expectation management history.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree. Like, you need to find out the background, like what's happening. Why is that person there? Why is that person acting up? Who that person is affiliated with, who their son, daughter, whatever it is. No, I would definitely get the backstory. But after I get the backstory, then I have no problem taking action if it's in a family home or if it's in my home, especially if it's in my home, right? It's like you could put out, my friend had a party. He put out a party, black tie event. If it's not black tie, don't show up. Of course, there's always that person that shows up, and when they showed up at the door, they were getting upset. And because the guy goes, listen, you can't come in. It's a black tie. Well, I know this guy a lot. No, it's a black tie. Well, it's a black tie, right? So then what had happened? All my friend did was say, listen, bro, either you don't know how to read or you ignored the email or the flyer. I mean, or you can't tell color. You're colorblind. But black tie is black tie. You can go home and change, but you can't stay. I mean, rather you get mad at me or insult me, it doesn't matter. It's still a black tie event. So, and I totally agree with my friend. I was behind him in the door when he was telling the guy. Nothing wrong with that. But if ignorance is not going to control the environment, that's all I'm saying. You're going to find out this story, and you're going to deal with it. But I don't think that letting things escalate before you get involved, that's not right. I just don't believe in that.
I agree with that. Yeah, if you could definitely prevent a regrettable moment in communication, then do so.
Yeah. I agree.
Dr. Easy, what's our role as older, more mature?
Well, my first answer is always going to be, it depends.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of generalizations.
Yeah.
So like if someone says, what do I think a man should do? If a man's not there, then if a woman, that's the thing why I said for me, if someone says what a man should do, my first response is, well, if a man should do it in a way, that means any adult in the space should be able to do it. It's not just as a man. Because if I'm there and I'm incapacitated, I want whoever is in the best control of themselves to step up and handle the situation. If I'm there and I'm too emotional at the time, because even though I may be the man, if it's me, I could be the perpetrator, but I could also be the victim. I would want someone else to step in. I don't care what your gender is, and I don't care what your age is. Hopefully you're not a child. I will say that. I want an adult to be an adult. So I just wanted to say that first, because I think sometimes the whole gender thing, which I was raised with it, so I get it. Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why is because by this being a man's platform, my target audience is men.
Oh no, I understand. And as a man,
that's why I specifically stated men.
Oh no, I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying as a man, I'm giving another man's perspective.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That as a man, I can respect a woman doing something too. I don't think it always has to be a man. So I just want to say that first. Now, second, I guess to continue to answer the question, what do I think our role is? I kind of got to go back with Vic on this one. Mind your damn business. And if you don't have your business in order, shut the hell up. And see, I think that's one of the main issues. That's actually, Garfield, why I was making the comment that I was making, because that's the mistake that a lot of us have made, in my opinion, is that we tie just to gender. And if you an a-hole, you don't need to be stepping up saying nothing. I don't care if you're a man. Sit your tail down, because you're part of the problem now. You're not part of the solution. So that's the first thing that I want to say, that, if a man gonna do something, you better make sure you have your shit in order. In my opinion. Just because you're a man, you don't have the right to speak in my space. Just because you're a man, you have a right to speak if you're a man who has his stuff in order. You see what I'm saying? And I think that goes to the entitlement piece that guys were that Vic had just mentioned. You see, because I think sometimes people think because we're men, we should be able to do something. Not if you would screw up. And that's my opinion. So that's the first thing I got to say. If a man gonna do anything, please make sure you have your stuff in order. Because just because you're a man don't mean that you're good at it, and it actually doesn't mean that you always have to be the one, because you could be the culprit. Now, if you a man who has your stuff in order and you're the patriarch, is it patriarch? Yeah, and you are in the patriarch. To me, see, that's the reason why I said I can't do the generalizations. I have to be a little specific, because I've seen men step up trying to be the man who was a boy. And I'm like, you need to shut the hell up. You know what I'm saying? Because he's causing the issue. So if you're a man who has your stuff in order and you have the respectable position in the family, you daggone right you should step up and say something. If something is going on. If you're a man who doesn't have your stuff in order with a Napoleon complex, if you're around me, we're gonna beat you down. You know, we're gonna help you grow up. You see what I'm saying? You know, we're gonna help you man up. You see what I'm saying? And you know, and if you speaking and you don't have your stuff in order, we're gonna have to do something to your mouth. You see, and then in my opinion, that's what a man does. And that's how a man keeps things in order. The man keeps himself in order. When things start happening, he works to get things back in order. But if he know he ain't in order, he better be wise. Don't put yourself in there. You see, because now you may be complicating things more. You know what I'm saying? So then I guess the overall answer is, that's why I said keep your stuff in order. The best person who can do that needs to be keeping himself in order. So I think that a man who reduces drama doesn't cause drama. You know what I'm saying? A man who solves problems isn't always the one who's at the tip of the cause of it. You see, and I think that that's the man who can be respected, period. You know, I think even haters will respect that, because they'll see that the man like that can have their back. You see what I'm saying? Even when they're messing up, they're like, man, you know, I can listen to that, because it's not about ego at that point. And that's I just want to kind of close with that. Whenever you're doing this, it shouldn't be about ego. It should be about order. It should be about the people who you're trying to get in place. You see, and so then and I think that that's the reason why what I started with, I think, will land now, because then a man can respect anyone who has their stuff in order, who's trying to solve. Matter of fact, that man to get behind them or get beside them. You know, it don't matter, you know, what the position is at that point, because it's about helping us move forward. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree with all of that. Shout out to Charlotte Jordan. She said, back in my day, we would get correction from adults, family and non-family. We may not have liked it, but later in life, those things came back to you. All you can do is plant the seed. What do y'all think about that?
Absolutely. I agree with Charlotte on that. Back then, we had so much respect for adults, right? We had utmost respect, even if you weren't in the family. It's like if that person putting you in check and you know you were doing wrong. My father had no problem, you know, if you're doing wrong. I mean, it wasn't about, don't tell my son that, well, your son's doing wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna tell him. I mean, yeah, you weren't around, and I saw him playing with a table that was, you know, rocking, and he was rocking on a chair, looking like he's gonna break it. I went up to him and I kindly said, please don't do that, and you know, don't touch it until, you know, we say grace. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, like I said, back then it was so much respect for adults.
I used to listen to all adults.
Yeah.
Like I work in education now, and here's how things have shifted a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time on it. You know, back in the day, you know, you would come home and be like, you know, Miss So-and-so did this to me. And the first thing your mom or dad to say is be like, well, what did you do? Well, now when the kids go home and they be like, well, Miss So-and-so did this to me, the mama like, ooh, what she say? I'm going up to the school. And it's like, dang, it's like, I understand trusting your kids, but I just, you know, it's a lot different now than back then. I'm not saying one is more right or one is more wrong. I'm just saying there's a difference in the time and how kids are nowadays with adults. And what you can or can't say to kids.
And you know, people let things go on today. So they can film it and post it, right? They want that chaos and all that crap. They want those followers and those views and likes. So they let things go on. They don't step in. See two people fighting. Okay, you don't really, I mean, there's a time and place for it, but they let it go on so they can, you know, get the full story. And it's sad that it has to be like that, right? But I still don't think it's right to let it happen. I to this day, I go Mr. So-and-so. As old as I am, I go Mr. Until he says, listen, you can call me by Jack or Jill. Okay. I'm not used to it, but I'm going to try my best. Right. And I still see the person go, hey, Mr. So-and-so, what up? No. How many times are you going to tell you that? Call me. Okay. I'm working on it. Because it's just not common for me. Right. If I meet your parents and you say, Antoine, this is my mom, I'll go, oh, hi, Mrs. Garfield. I'm not going to go, hey, Janet, what up? No. If I sit down, before I sit down at the table, where would the host like me to sit? I'm asking. I'm not just going to plant myself down. I'm going to wait to be served. I'm not just going to reach out and take the food. I'm going to say, I'll let everybody else go, but the first plate's got to come from you because I don't know, you know? So I just think that's the right way to be. And I'll always be like that. And I'll raise my kids like that.
Can men prevent family drama? Can you prevent it?
No.
You like nope.
Unless the only drama you can
No.
prevent is
You
the drama
involved.
if it ain't got nothing to do with me, it ain't my problem. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you supposed to be able to be, as a man, you supposed to be a resource to be an honest broker in a situation. When somebody brings you both sides, if it involves you, if it requires, there's a difference between if it involves you or if it requires you. Because if you cause it, you involved, right? There's no way in the world you can get your equity out of it, right? But if somebody says, hey, we need your help, then you need to have full creative control over solving it. Because if it's gotten that point, I don't care about nobody else's input. But all of that is so complex, which is why I go back to minding my business. Because that's just the way I would deal with it. But people can hear how you would potentially deal with an issue, and then they can make a fake issue into an issue about them. Because drama affords everybody the opportunity to connect to it and figure out how much of their life they want to have inundated with a hypothetical scenario. Because most times drama is based on a hypothetical scenario anyway.
Yeah. And I think that when the people that have that's causing the drama in the family, are those really the people you can really sit down and have a really intelligent, thought out conversation with anyway? You know what I mean? Because if they got all the drama going on in their life, they probably not that open to receiving much information anyway. What you think, Antoine?
I think, depending again, if it's in your home, you can prevent drama. It's called kicking them out. I don't understand. What's the big deal in saying get out? The party's
outside
over.
Of the home. Outside of the home. Outside of the home.
Even outside of the home. If you see two idiots going at it, well, listen, it ain't happening here. It's not happening here. You separate them, it's not happening here. Then you call the police. You call whatever you need. You find the biggest four men in your group and you bring stop to chaos. I'm not going to let things escalate if it's right in front of my face and I see it escalating. It shouldn't get to that. We're all grown adults. And if we're all grown adults, then we all got a level head. If you're at the party, I don't put it, first of all, I never put myself where I'm not wanted or I don't feel comfortable. That's for one. I go when I'm invited and I still scope out the area. I look for two things, the back door and the exit door. So if anything starts to ring out, I know where I'm running, right? That's how I see it. So secondly, so after that happens, if I see two guys beefing in there, getting it there, I'm going to let the host know. I said, you know what? There's trouble in that corner. I'm at least going to voice that to try to stop it, or at least bring awareness to it. But I'm not going to let it get to the point where voices get raised, blows start to happen. And no, if I see it happening, of course. This is if I see it happening. Now, in the streets, that's a different story. That's a totally different scenario, right? Because people don't have patience in the street. They'll shoot you dead because they don't know you. And that's where you really should mind your own business, because it all depends, right? But outside of that, no, you should get involved. Why would you witness something and not do nothing? Like, I can't see. I mean, I'm not saying to get involved or find out the backstory, but you're seeing something happening in a corner. You're seeing it escalate. You wouldn't go and tell the host, hey, listen, A, B, and C down there, I don't know what it is, but the voices are getting a little loud and there's some pushing and shoving. You might want to check it out.
That sounds like a Karen.
You know, of course that would sound like a Karen for you, but it's not. It's just saying you're just aware of your surroundings.
This is why I say mind your business, because
exactly. And then I say when you mind your own business and somebody gets shot, don't say you're sorry for it. Just say, you know what? I let it happen. I mind my business. It wasn't me, and walk away.
You really can't stop somebody that want to shoot somebody.
Listen again. And I'll say
that's extreme. And I'm not competing with you on that. I'm just saying that's an exception. That I think those scenarios are exceptions. They do occur, but it's up to us to have a conversation that makes, like, a family drama situation that fits the discussion of what we're talking about. We're talking. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about just ongoing nonviolent disputes, just difference in philosophy, difference in methodology, or something to that effect.
Yeah, nonviolent dispute.
Yeah, nonviolent dispute. Because when it comes down to
annoying stuff, they're always
do you
going
know the
on.
person? And when you guys say that, are you saying you're aware that the person that does that or the people that do that is going to be at that party?
We're not even talking about a party.
We're talking about
just talking about regular drama.
Do you know that are you aware that they're going to be there?
We ain't talking about nobody that can come in and create a violent situation.
Okay, so I'm not talking about that. Again, I'll say it again. If you're saying the scenario you're creating, do you know that these people are going to be there? You can't control it, right? It's just going to happen, but you know they're prone to it, right?
For the sake of discussion, I guess we can go with that. I mean, because if something's gonna go down,
keep your ass at home so you can do nothing. That's all I'm saying. Keep your ass at home so you can do nothing. If you know that they're at like that in the environment they're at, and you know that's a possibility because you know them.
Yeah, stay home, stay out the way.
Uninvolved ass at home.
For real, and I'm with you on that, Antoine, because if you know it can go down and you know you can't pull yourself from dealing with it, potentially, and you know you're gonna make it your business to deal with it in person, and it could go left, be misconstrued, misinterpreted. Don't even put yourself in the situation. Which always go back to accountable masculinity rule number 1. Men focus on men. You know what I'm saying? Mind the business that you can afford, fellas.
Hey, shout out to Across the Table with Chris. Based off the question, can men prevent family drama? Chris says, no, they cannot. However, they can keep it from escalating and invading their home. If it's in the home, as long as they have the respect of the house, he can de-escalate it. I kind of agree with all of this. I kind of, Antoine, everything that everybody said. I'm the same way. I'm only going to allow a certain amount of drama come into the house. You know what I mean? Because if my wife gets affected by the drama, then that affects me. That affects our relationship. That affects the dynamics that go on in this house. You know what I mean? And if you don't live in this house, you don't have the right to cause chaos in my house or in my home. You're not in these 4 walls, so you don't have the right. Actually, what gives you the audacity to try to bring your drama into my house?
Imagine affording someone the comfort to make you uncomfortable under your own roof.
Your own roof.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Get lost, kick rocks.
When you start breaking it down that way, am I really giving you a platform to be disrespectful?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's crazy when you start putting it that way. So when you start thinking of it that way, you how can I avoid this altogether? And then you start practicing the law of detachment, and you can see. Sometimes you have to see some things play out without you being there, because a lot of times when you got a family drama situation, there's some enablers mixed in that you can't do anything about. See, that's the thing you can't control. It's not the person that's actually going to turn up and do something crazy to bring a spectacle. It's the enablers that feed information or don't mitigate it before it get to you. Because you got to think about it. How far down the list do you have to go before it gets to you to have to deal with? How many more people should be more responsible for that situation before it involves you? And if none of those people cared beforehand, just based on whatever frequency and algorithm you've established with people, I wouldn't expect someone that doesn't talk to you, or let's say we at Doc's house, and somebody that confronts Doc underneath his own roof, starts taking the situation left, comes to find out that this person is his cousin, but he ain't seen him in 30 years. And then we get involved to some degree, and then it's not really our business at that point because he really talking to blood about the problem. There's some context to the situation that we don't know. And here we are interjecting ourselves, creating a different scenario that they couldn't even discuss. And it might be about some Power Rangers. But now it's about principles. Now it's about money. Now it's about staying in your place. And now you done got your lips smacked off in front of the whole family because you wouldn't mind your business. Stay your ass at the house.
I agree with that. I mean, 100%. Like I said, don't put yourself in an environment you can't control, or you have some control over. Right?
Things go left very quickly. Like you're gonna sacrifice some pride. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to solve some shit, like you jump in. Like, okay, let me give you a scenario where you got to make a choice, Antoine.
Okay, go for it. Let me hear it.
You got two family relatives, both of them 330 pounds. You 135, or either 153, no matter how you transpose the numbers, wherever you want to mix them at.
There you go, ain't big enough.
Yeah. No, how is this gonna go, Antoine? Huh? How is it gonna go? They both 330.
All right.
How are you gonna de-escalate the situation?
Are they in my house?
Obviously.
Okay.
Is that a barbecue at your parents' house?
In a barbecue at your parents' house. How are you gonna diffuse a beef between people that the size of a cow?
Listen. It don't matter how big they are, okay? Because they ain't moving like somebody fast. You gotta catch what you can hit.
Hey, look, no, but I'm talking about you jumping in. No, Antoine, you breaking it up. It's already ongoing. How are you gonna jump in and break it up?
I am gonna jump in and do some kicking. I'm telling you, I'm gonna jump.
You're gonna get your ass whooped, Antoine. You're gonna get your ass whooped for no reason in front of the
Two
whole
Rottweilers
family.
and a Chihuahua.
Now they ain't even about to fight no more. You see what I'm
kicking.
saying? Now they done whooped your ass in front of the whole family.
No,
it ain't even about the fight they had before. Nobody remember how it started.
No.
They gonna be like, who is the little light skinned man with his blouse on getting his ass whooped in front of all these people?
No. If it's in my house, believe me, I'm stepping
like a Chihuahua trying to break up two German shepherds.
I am gonna break it up.
You finna get broke up.
Sure
You finna get bucked.
I'm gonna signal to my boys that they're with me, and I'm definitely handling that situation. No, they guys, you know what I mean? We got to make up 300 pounds. We got to make this happen, but it's not.
Your boys recording it. I guarantee you, they watching your ass run up between 200-300 pound people. Recording it. I got the phone out. I got to see it.
Hey, did we talk about that earlier? No, I'm breaking it up. I will definitely step in and do my part to break it up, especially if it's in my own home. If I have to take a shovel or something, but we're breaking it up. Trust
Antoine.
me.
Let's assume that your breakup strategy gets employed the right way. Let's say it goes bad. Let's say your strategy don't work. What is your contingency? What is your plan B?
Oh, call the police.
So you're gonna go in there and willingly get your ass whooped, and they gonna call the police?
Yeah,
you understand how this gonna look?
If they don't stop, I'm calling the police. I don't have to do that.
All I'm saying is, do you see how with more information the story gets worse? Even in a hypothetical sense.
What's getting worse? I'm trying to break it up. They're not breaking it up. I'm going to get a shovel. Somebody's getting hit over the head with something hard. I'm breaking it up. And I'm telling them. And I am telling you. First, I'm going to use my voice. Then I'm going to use my body as this thing. Then I'm going to have to use something hard and heavy. I'm going to say, okay, the next person's going to get it hard. And then if that doesn't work, after they hit over the head, I'm calling
This is a terrible soundbite. This is a terrible soundbite.
I'm calling the paramedics and the police. Yeah, that's how it's going to go down. I'm serious. You know what I mean? I'm not dealing with that. I'm like, I did my part. You know?
Hey, a lot of things are true.
That's
what I'm going to say. I ain't getting my butt whooped at my age for nobody in the family. I'm just saying. Going down. I'm like Antoine. First of all, if I know the people in the family that cause all the drama going to be there, and two of the people that don't like each other going to be there, I probably ain't going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? More than likely, I ain't going. Now, if I am there, I'm okay with showing up, grabbing a to-go plate, saying hello, saying goodbye, keeping it moving. You know what I'm saying? And then go get somewhere to eat, and then save it for snack time at night.
Might leave the car running.
You're right. I had a situation years ago. Garfield, you remember I had that male mentoring program at NC State. And so I designed it with another guy at the time this happened. He had left the university. So I'm running this program myself. So we got about 30 plus black and brown men in this program. And we getting ready to get on the road and go to New York for like a week long, excursion. We're gonna hit up New York, New Jersey, Philly, we got stuff to do. And I have two mentors that I hired. Okay, they're both working on their doctorates. They're both smaller than me. Okay, now I'm only like 5'8", so they're both like smaller and shorter than me. So they're thinner and they're shorter, like let's say 5'6" or something. And
like
they're
Antoine size.
maybe I haven't met Antoine in person, but hey,
I'm
but
5'6".
oh, all right, okay, dope, cool. Now I want to add another caveat. Not that it technically matters, but both of these mentors are both very effeminate men. Okay. Now I have another guy in the program. He's over 320 pounds. Okay. And now notice what I said. I have the two mentors, then I have the guy who's in the program. Okay. And the guy who's in the program was from my college at NC State. We have 10 colleges. He was in my college. The other two guys are doctoral students, who I've known and, who in the program years ago. Anyway, we're getting ready to get on the bus. And let's say the big guy's name is Antoine and the smaller guy's name is Vic. All right. I see Vic and Antoine about to get at it. Now, my first concern, I'll be honest, is if Vic can I'm looking at the size, so I'm just like, is this really about to go down? Like, I know this 300 plus dude is not if you're trying to raise up on this young, short gentleman. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I have to be mindful of something. Maybe something set him off. So I don't want to assume that just because he's big, that he caused it. Okay. So in that moment, since I'm everybody's adults, right? We all at the university, but I'm the older adult. I'm the one in authority. I literally step in the middle and I tell both of them to go on opposite sides. I'm like, you go over there, Antoine, you go over there, Vic, you go over there. And I was like, and ain't nothing gonna happen because we don't get this straight. Neither one of you are going on a trip that neither one of you are paying for. So what you gonna do? Because Dr. Easley didn't fight neither one of you. What you gonna do? So that settled it to get us on the bus and get on the road. All right. Neither one of these are my relatives, but these are young men, right? Both black men. When we get to VA, I check in with both of them. I'm like, let me check in with, Antoine, so Antoine, is the bigger guy. I'm like, look, Antoine, we going to have a talk, but are you okay? Okay, cool. Let me go to Vic. You okay? Okay, Vic's my mentor. Okay, cool. All right. The next day in the truck, me and Antoine have a real conversation. Not in front of everybody. Just me and him. And the conversation went like this. Boy, you were too big to be trying to fight somebody that's not even half your size. You do that again, and I will call the cops and get you arrested. And I ain't saying that to you because I'm afraid of you. I'm saying that to you to protect you. You don't want me to get my hands on you. That's literally what I said to him. I was like, and I want you to know, just because you're the biggest one on this trip, size ain't going to save you. Some of us know what to do with size. And he was like, yes, sir. And I said, but I wanted him to understand you're not going to make anybody, you're not going to intimidate nobody on this trip. And I don't want you to do that because you were too big. Basically, I want him to, you were too big. If I put my hands on you, I know I ain't say that, but if I put my hands on you, I'm going to try to kill you because I'm going to make sure you don't get up because you ain't going to hurt me. But I needed to say that to him so I wouldn't lose my cool because I knew what I wanted to do when I first saw it. I wanted to put him in the chokehold and I knew I could. And he said, yes, sir. I said, but we have any more problems. I'm just going to call the cops. I said, it's just like that. I said, because you're not going to cause me to lose my job and I'm not putting my hands on the student. We ain't have any more problems. What's crazy is that young man, okay, is like one of my close now confidants. Now we're friends. We're investing together. We do a lot of things. I think if I wouldn't have stepped up the way that I did with him, maybe you could say it would have shown weakness, right? Because I'm the one who's running the trip, even though my two mentors are the ones running it. But you know what I'm saying? But I think when he saw that I was serious, and I think the fact that I did it not in front of anybody, you see, it wasn't about ego. It was about, look, we don't need any drama on this trip. I'm the only adult on this trip. you know. And I'm like, I'm not going to try to do anything if I don't have to. But if you cross me, you know, then we're going to call the cops, because I'm not dealing with it. Some may say, man, that's kind of a cop out, so on and so forth. I said, no, if this would have been family, it would have been different. If it was a family member, if it was blood, and if the relationship was strong, we might have then had a conversation about the hands. You do it again, and I'm going to show you what a 5'8" man can do. You know, but I took a different approach because it's not my family. But in the end, it is my family, because I'm helping to groom these young men, you know, for after college and so on and so forth. And all of the guys are doing great. But that's me just kind of giving an example of a different form of family and how to deal with it in the moment. It's not my business, right? But it is my problem because it's my program. You know, so that's just, you know, just tossing out. And the situation that I had where it was about to get violent, and size was the issue or the concern, but you know, other things were part of it too.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. It was a great story.
Thank you.
Before we finish up with the final thoughts, man, I just wanted to say, yeah, I agree with all of that. You know, it's there are some family members that I have wanted to reach out to try to help or support, or that I may see where maybe they could use some support. But I haven't always felt comfortable with these people to be able to, you know, by me being in the military, I was gone all the time. I was gone for 20 years. So I never, and since I was young, I haven't lived like in close proximity to a lot of my extended family. So, in a sense, I don't have those very strong bonds or relationships with those people to the point where I feel comfortable having a conversation about things. I feel like I want to move into some sort of patriarchal, you know what I mean, right?
Patriarchal.
Yeah. Type of role, you know what I mean? Especially as I gain older and I get, you know, keep gaining more knowledge and information, especially from gentlemen like you, to be able to offer some support to other people in my family. And I don't have all the answers, you know, but however, at the same time, I would at some point like to be one of the guys in the family that, you know, the younger people could say, yeah, let me call Uncle, see how he's doing. Let me check on him. That's somebody I respect. You know what I mean? If he be like, nah, or if he be like, yeah, you might want to invest in this, or, you know, maybe think about doing this. Like, I want to be one of those guys in the family, you know. Maybe that's just me, but, you know, my sons don't really have that. And, you know, most of their grandfathers are gone. So it's not a lot of male role models in my family for my sons. And even some of the ladies in the family as well. You know, there are some nieces and nephews and cousins and stuff like that that, you know, that don't have fathers and stuff like that. And I think that, you know, I'm striving to and it's where I say I would like to be in some sort of role like that. At the same time, where I'm at right now, I'm okay with being trying to be an example. You know, I think that that's one of the best ways that I can kind of help and give back. You know, like my mom said, you know, just planting seeds. You know, what do you guys think?
I think the essence of accountable masculinity is planting seeds. I think that you can be transparent enough to know that you don't have all of the answers. Flexible enough to be able to take in new information and be able to still pour into that individual's cup to help them make a better decision, or just give them one more moment to pause. And a lot of times that extra information, implementing it is trigger dependent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got various situations that may come up that may trigger you to remember something very useful or very counterproductive or counterintuitive to the situation. But I think if you come to it from a place of a certain level of accountability, if you're saying it from a place of love, it's going to plant the right seed and give that person a tool that they can use in the future that they may not be able to act on until a situation triggers that emotion. And it makes them remember that moment where you gave them something to benefit from. You gave them a solution instead of a problem. And when you start really narrowing down the importance and the value of people that you have in your network that can feed you and pour into your cup, is it boils down to people fall into one of three categories. They either create problems, solutions, or opportunities. And hopefully somebody plants a seed that allows you what you need to act on the opportunity to either correct the situation or use your better judgment and detach yourself from it.
I look at it this way. This was actually a great topic about, you know, discussing things with family and whatnot. But I do believe that, you know, in your own home, you have the right to get involved in anything. It's your home, and you have a right to protect your home, and you have a right to voice your opinion. You can do anything you want. It's your home. People don't like the rules, just, you know, show them the door. And if you're I believe, and if you see something starting, you see something escalating, I believe you should at least voice your opinion to say, hey, to the host that be, or to where you're at, that, you know, it seems like something's happening in that corner. You should, you know, check it out. Because I don't think anybody should be. I'm not one of these guys that go to coulda, woulda, shoulda done something. I rather at least voice my opinion and then pick up my wife, my family, and just leave. Right. But at least I did my part to say, I saw this. This is happening. I don't believe I'm going to go somewhere and say it's none of my business. Then why am I there? What am I there for? If it's none of my business, I shouldn't be there. Right. And if I know I'm not wanted, or if I know trouble could brew in a certain place, I wouldn't put myself in that situation anyways, outside of family. Right. And then even if I know that even if you know two people are able to get it on, you'd ask that person, are they coming? Are both of them coming? Well, you know what happens when both of them show up. Are you going to have a contingency plan in place? And I believe that needs to be asked. So you really have to know where you're going in the environment. We're all grown adults here. You know, you got to ask questions. Don't put yourself in a position that you know you're not comfortable. You know, I know that you're taking care of the person you're with, your significant other or your family. But in your home, oh, hell no. No problem. 911. That's it.
I love my family, so I definitely like to see order and peace, you know, with family. In my home, well, I see home a couple of ways. One, there's the physical house that you live in and you pay bills. Two, there's the physical body that you dwell in that allows you to pay bills. So one, you know, I protect my home, my physical home, from drama first. That means that I protect what comes in my head and my eyes and my mouth, you know, all of that. And then that goes to the accountability piece right there. Because if I'm maintaining peace inside of me, that means that I'm hopefully giving peace outside of me. Then if I'm in an environment where there's something happening that is disrupting the peace, and if I think that it's my place, of course, I'll say something. I'll also say this: if I'm asked to do something, you know, depending on what it is, you know, if I feel comfortable, I'll also do it. Because I've been in spaces where someone would say, hey, Dr. Easley or Thomas or Pastor Easley, you think you can do something about that? You know, and I'll do my best to also, you know, try to represent. But my last thought that I'll say is before I do anything, always think about what's the end game. You know, is the end game for the drama to silence or stifle, but also is the end game for relationships to hopefully either maintain or grow from it. And that in itself is what also informs what I do. I think about what's the end goal. Like, you know, that's why I say, please don't, that's why earlier I said, keep the ego out of it. Because if you go into it just because of your gender or your, you know, or what you think your role is, you might be missing something. You see what I'm saying? Like maybe in that moment, it may not be your role to solve that because it's not about you, and, you know, and you might just add more wood to the fire when we need to extinguish this thing right now. So, you know, I just say like, you know, be mindful. I'll say that, be aware of your home physically who you are, as well as a home where you dwell. And try your best to also be aware of the impact that you have on other people. So when and if you have to step up, the majority of people who are there will get behind or beside you, because you're now solving the problem instead of adding to the. You're part of the solution instead of adding to the problem. That's it.
Great words from all of you guys, man. I'm gonna sum up by just saying that, I appreciate all you guys being on here. And, when it comes to family, I think it, with the accountability piece and, all of it, like certain things ain't necessarily my business. And, if I do want to get involved, one of the things I need to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Because if I ain't doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what gives me the right to go over there and say something to somebody else who ain't doing what they supposed to be doing? And if I do go and talk to that other person, they may not be in a point to where they can receive anything from me based off of how they're living their life. So, and that's where, it goes to planting the seeds, and there's a time and place to have these conversations. Maybe right now and in 2022 is not the best time to have that conversation. Maybe if they see me doing what I'm supposed to do, maybe at some point they'll reach out to me and say, hey, Unc, you know what I mean? I'm ready to do the right thing. Or, what do you suggest that I do with this, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they'll come around, so I really enjoyed the conversation today, man. Appreciate y'all being on here and all of those good things like that. Appreciate everybody who joined today, who said something in the chat. The most elevated chat on YouTube, that is.
There you
And
go.
last and last but not least, thank you to all of you who tuned in today on this live show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on your way out the door. Check out the other videos on the Unkle Junior Network on YouTube, and we are out.